Okay, class, let's work through homework so you can follow along with this. I'm going to do almost all of it completely for you. So hopefully if you had any questions, this will help clarify it. We should be looking at page 382, numbers 7 through 10. Okay, so if we look at number 7 technically. Number 7 says 3x plus 3y equals 27. Okay, and then our second equation for the system says x minus 3y equals negative 11. So we said if we want to solve a system by elimination, we are looking to see where we have an x and y value with a matching coefficient. We're ignoring the sign, we're ignoring the positive or negative. We're just looking for a matching number in front. So this x has a 3 and this x have a 1. So those are not the same numbers, so that's not our set. This y has a 3 and this y has a 3, so those are the same number. So this is the set that we want to focus on. Then we're going to decide if they have the same sign or if they have an opposite sign. So this 3 in front is positive and this 3 in front is negative. So we have one positive and we have one negative, which means they are opposite signs, which is the situation we want to be in. We want one to be positive and one to be negative. When that happens, we can just go ahead and we can add them both straight down. So I'm going straight down each one of these columns. So 3x plus x, right? This is really a 1x. So 3x plus 1x is 4x. Those y's are going to cancel. A 3 and a negative 3 go away. So we're not even going to write down the 0. And then we have a 27 plus a negative 11. So we're struggling with this in class. Use a calculator, check your signs. Make sure you're not messing up the small math. So just make sure you double check with your negatives and all of that stuff. So this will give us 16. This is then something we can solve. So we can undo multiplication with division. And we get x equals 16. Now, we're not finished yet. Or x equals 4. Sorry, guys. I can't apparently write and talk at the same time. X equals 4. We're not finished yet. Now, we need to take this x value of 4, and we need to plug it back into one of the original equations. So we can plug it into either of these. We just need to make sure we're plugging it in for x. So I'm going to go up here and replace the x. I'm going to substitute it with 4. So now instead of saying 3, right, this was my original equation, 3x plus 3y equals 27. And I'm now putting that 4 in for x. So I'm going to say 3 times 4 plus 3y equals 27. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract that 12. Get 15. We'll undo multiplication with division. Y equals 5. And so if we write our final answer as an ordered pair, we will have 4, 5. Okay, let's take a look at number 8. Number 8 from the textbook says negative x plus 5y equals 13. And x minus y equals 15. So again, when we first look at this, we need to look and see if our x's have the same coefficient or if the y's have the same coefficient. Okay, so right here is where we see x's with a matching coefficient. They both have a 1, right? We can't pick the y's because this is a 5 and this is a 1. So then we're going to decide on their signs. So I'm going to look directly in front. This is a negative 1, and this is a positive 1. It doesn't have anything to do with this sign over here. That goes with the y. I'm looking in front of it. So 1 is positive and 1 is negative, which is what we want to happen. When they are the opposite signs, we can go straight to adding. So a negative x plus an x becomes 0, and that just goes away. A 5y plus a negative 1y gives us a 4y. And 13 plus 15 will give us a 28. That is then something I can solve. So I'll undo multiplication with division, which gives us y equals 7. Now I need to take that value and I need to plug it back in this time for y, right? I solved for y, so I'm plugging in for y. Okay, so I'm going to go back to one of these equations. So this time I think I'm going to pick the second equation because it doesn't have that negative sitting out in front. It doesn't have a coefficient with the y, so I'm going to take my x minus y equals 15, and I'm going to plug this 7 in for the y. So I'm going to say x minus 7 equals 15. Okay, we'll add 15 plus 7, and we will get 22. So if I'm going to write my final answer as an ordered pair, 7, oops, nope, I need my x first, so I need 22, 7. Let's take a look at number 9. Number 9 says 2x plus 4y equals 22, and 2x minus 2y equals negative 8. Okay, so again, I'm looking to see where I find the matching coefficient. Okay, so I'm going to look in front of the x. Okay, right here, this is a 2 and this is a 2. Over here, I have a 4 and a 2. So my x is the one I want to pick because these match. That 2 is positive, and that 2 is positive. So now my coefficients are the same sign. And we said when they're the same sign, I'm going to multiply this equation all the way through by -1. So my top equation is staying exactly the same. This is staying as a 2x plus 4y equals 22. My bottom equation, I'm distributing this -1 all the way through. So -1 times 2x is a -2x. -1 times -2y is a positive 2y. And -1 times a -8 gives me a positive 8. Okay, once I've multiplied through, those are now the opposite signs, right? A positive 2 and a -2, which is exactly what I want to happen. And now I can add straight down. So a 2x and a -2x, those cancel. A 4y plus a 2y will give me a 6y. And a 22 plus an 8 will give me a 30. I now have a one-step equation I can solve. Y equals 5. But I'm not done yet, right? I still need to find that other variable. I found my y, I need to find my x. So I can plug back into any of the original equations. So I'm going to go back up over here. This one didn't have any negatives, so I guess I'll go there. So my original equation was 2x plus 4y equals 22. But I'm plugging in that y value of 5. So now 2x plus 4 times 5 equals 22. So 4 times 5 is 20. I'll undo adding 20 by subtracting 20. And I'll get x equals 1. So again, if I write my answer as an ordered pair, this will give me the final answer of 1, 5. Okay, then last problem for our homework, number 10. Number 10 says 4x minus 7y equals 3. And x minus 7y equals -15. Okay, so again, when we look at this one, we're looking for our matching coefficient. Our matching coefficient here is our y's. Our y's are both 7s. Okay, and if we look in front of it, this is a -7 and a -7, which means now both of them are negative. They are the same sign, and that's not what we want to happen. So I'm going to multiply this equation by -1. So my top equation stays the same. 4x minus 7y equals 3. And my bottom equation, I'm multiplying this -1 all the way through. So negative 1 times x is negative 1x. Negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7. And negative 1 times negative 15 is a positive 15. Okay, now I can add these straight down. 4x plus a negative 1x will give me a 3x. My y's cancel. 3 plus 15 gives me 18. Can now solve this, which says x equals 6. Once I'm done with that x equals 6, I'm going to take that 6 and plug it back in again to any of those original equations. So this second one right here didn't have a number in front of the x, so I think I might go with that one. X minus 7y equals negative 15. You might choose the top one because you don't want to deal with the other negatives. That's up to you. I'm going to put the 6 in for x, so now I have 6 minus 7y equals negative 15. So negative 7y equals a negative 21. And I'll get y equals positive 3. So if I'm going to write my final answer as an ordered pair, I'll have 6, 3.